What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Love Coach Scott Catamas, and welcome to our Sacred Sunday edition of the Awakening World. I want to welcome all of our friends in the Zoom room, and it's good to see a lot of our absolute favorite people. And as always, let us know where you are geographically. It's always fun for me just to read through and see all the different places in the world that people are coming. And Omashar, you just accidentally hit screen share. So I'm going to stop the screen share there. But the good news is we have Omashar with us, even though he just shared his screen. And look at that desktop. What a busy desktop you've got, Omashar. I'm going to bring you on. This is our house musician, Omashar, with a very busy desktop. But we will be hearing music from him and all of that once he gets his audio together. But I'm going to continue with our greetings.
I'm just going to explain the desktop. It's because I have two screens at home and I brought my laptop with me. And so everything gets amalgamated onto one screen, well, because I'm in the UK at the moment. So anyway, that's mine. I'll shut up now. So
Not a problem. And look at all of our friends. I'm going to go to gallery view for a moment. So I see a lot of our favorite people are with us. There's Karen and Peter and Mannion and Phyllis and KB. Kate is with us today. And you're going to see there's Mandolin, our street angel, our special guest today. So, and more people coming in even as I speak. All right, moving back to our introduction. For those of you watching on Facebook, welcome. And a big thanks to John and Summer Raymer from the Sign Network. They get us out to as many as 100 Facebook groups and pages. So whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're in our Zoom room, or maybe you're watching on our YouTube channel, you're watching the replay, wherever you might be, welcome. I do want to encourage everybody, if you haven't already, to register. Go to globalpeacetribe.com, and register. And then what happens is you're going to get the links to all of our shows for the next 3 months. Plus, every Monday, we send out an email with the replays, all the recordings of the previous shows. And honestly, almost every show we do is amazing. Last night we did a wonderful show, and you got a chance to hear from Marianne Williamson and Andrew Harvey and John Robbins, all about sacred activism, as an example. Today's theme is to support Earth Angels. And I'm imagining that probably just about everybody who's watching, listening, is an Earth Angel. What does that mean? What's an Earth Angel? I truly believe that because humanity is in this incredible time where we must evolve very quickly. We have got, we were creating an unsustainable world. and all the different crises and challenges that are happening, humanity has to wake up. That's why this is called the awakening world. And I truly believe that a tremendous number of souls chose to come to this world at this time to help with planetary transformation, to help us to evolve. And because of the nature of the work that I do as a coach, and I've coached thousands of people, I've met so many people like Mandy, who's our kind of primary guest, who, as I get to know them, it's like, oh, this person is an earth angel. This is somebody whose nature, whose soul is from the angelic realm. And they've come to the world, come to this planet to help us. But they're in a human body, and we all are experiencing the challenges of being in a human body. We're in an animal body, and this animal body has cravings. We need food, we need sleep, we need rest. And because we're a human animal, we also need things like respect, love, creative expression. So I want to start by I'm going to put up, and I'll read this as well. So, are you an earth angel? Well, see how you relate to any of these. You believe in being kind. You want everyone to be happy. You'll go out of your way to be helpful to others, even strangers. One of the hard things, sometimes people take advantage of your kindness. You have trouble setting boundaries. Perhaps you get affected by other people's moods, and you avoid conflict. So those are some of the questions to ask if you're an earth angel. I'll also add a couple that I've observed. That was a meme that I found, but a couple that I've also observed is maybe, especially when you were younger, you really like to get high. Because when you were high with whatever it was, alcohol, pot, psychedelics, you felt a connection to what felt like home, that high vibrational state. I see people raising their hands for that. So this is actually going to be a interactive show as well. I'm going to do a meditation. We're going to have some music from Omashar. We're going to meet Mandy. But I want to hear from some of you. So please pop in the chat box who relates to some of those qualities that we just described. Who relates to being an earth angel? And in my meditation, I'm going to kind of take us into that place a little bit deeper. So I invite us all now to close your eyes, unless you're listening to the podcast and operating a motor vehicle. In that case, don't close your eyes. But for everybody else, let's close our eyes. And let's start by just taking some deep breaths, breathing at your own pace. And on the exhale, really letting go. And as you hear the sound of my voice, let me gently guide you deep into yourself, continuing to consciously breathe, paying attention to your in-breath and your out-breath. And on every out-breath, just imagine you're letting go of any thoughts, any energies that no longer serve you. And on every in-breath, you're coming deeper into your own sense of yourself. I'm inviting you to drop into the universe of you. Really coming into your body, your beautiful body temple. And as I ask some of these questions again, notice if you have any responses in your body, any responses in your heart, any responses like, oh yeah, yes. Notice any yeses. Has planet Earth, life here, felt really hard at times, like it's so dense? Whether as a child or even now, does violence shock you? Maybe when you saw your parents fight or siblings fight, it just didn't feel right. We shouldn't be doing that. Do you remember that that was an experience maybe as a child, maybe now? Do you just want to love and be loved? And have you been hurt because you just wanted to love and somebody couldn't receive your love, or they, instead of taking and receiving your love, they shamed you or they judged you? It's a very sad experience for many of us. At some time or times in your life, have you just wanted to escape reality? And so you found yourself attracted to alcohol or pot or certain drugs. Or perhaps you found escape through music, martial arts, yoga, meditation. And although the ones I just mentioned are more socially and spiritually acceptable, just acknowledging that desire to be in a higher vibration, to be in a state of love is so beautiful. And so there are many strategies to get back into that state. And if you imagine where you came from, where you were before you came into this body, were you in an angelic realm? Were you in a place that was of a higher vibration, where the experience of love was more permeable, more alive, more consistent? Do you find yourself longing to go back home, to go back to that state of love? So if you relate to some of these ideas, some of these questions, after Omashar's song, please put in the chat box what might have come up for you. And I want to welcome all of you. It's great to have you all part of the show. And I'm going to turn it over to our beautiful, beloved brother Omashar to play some music.
When flowers grow, dripping with dew, and rivers flow in sapphire blue, I suddenly know what a fool God I knew. I am a tear that's lost fear of the ocean, and when autumn sun kisses my cheek, whilst cool winds come from mountain's peak, with poems on my tongue and no wish to speak, I am a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. Earth angel, when I give you my heart, I already start to feel better. Angel, won't you send me your love forever and ever and ever, forever and ever and ever. Oh, when tender hands her powdered sands, me temperate seas. I don't understand, but I love mysteries. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. And when evening stars shine all around, my grieving heart's no longer down. And things that were lost, that's where true hope's found. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. Earth angel, when I give you my heart, I already start to feel better. My earth angel, won't you send me your love forever and ever and ever? My street angel, when I give you my heart, I already start to feel better. Street angel, won't you send me your love forever and ever and ever? I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean.
Oh, Mashar, that's awesome. I think you just wrote the theme song for the Street Angel show. We'll see what Mandy thinks, but
However, I'm not going to lay claim to that one. I just altered the lyrics somewhat because it was appropriate. And it just, when I tune into a show, the songs drop in and I go, really? That one? And then I realize why when I perform it. So thank you so much.
Oh, it was beautiful. Beautiful. Well, we're going to, of course, be hearing from Mashar. He's going to share some of his thoughts and more music a little bit later on in the show. And I want to introduce our guest, but again, please let us know your thoughts. And I am going to read a couple of the comments that have come in. And I really want to have more comments because I'm imagining a lot of you are Earth Angels and can relate to that. Dorina, who's coming to us from Ecuador, writes, thank you for the introduction and meditation. And yeah, she points out that there's a very useful book by Doreen Virtue. I should get her on our show, called Assertiveness for Earth Angels, How to Be Loving Instead of Too Nice. And it relates to some of the aspects that I brought up about being taken advantage of or being too nice. So thank you, Dorina, for relating to that. And let me know, Dorina, do you relate to being an Earth Angel? I bet you do. Eleanor Joy writes, I aspire, I intend to become a street angel, allowing love to flow freely through me to others as I go through my day. Some days my halo has slipped and my wings have folded, but other days bring joy to me and to others. That's beautiful, Eleanor. Thank you so much. Kate writes, I sure do relate. Expanding love is a huge part of how to be. And Peter writes, I share all the points except the last ones. I seem to get into conflicts over some things that I write that get taken out of context. Oh, thank you, Peter. And yeah, even though we don't want to be in conflict, we live in a world that's so filled with conflict that we fall into it. We fall into fighting. We fall into that. So it doesn't mean you're not an Earth Angel. It means that you are struggling to be a human being. Well, I am now going to bring on camera one of my favorite human beings. And this is the inspiration for the show. This is Mandolin Reese, our street angel. I've known Mandy. I met Mandy many, many years ago. I was at a conference and there she was with her angels on and her signs. And I was like, my God, who is that magical, beautiful being? And that's how I met her. And she's actually become part of Love Coach Academy and studied our courses. And she's a great coach herself. And so Welcome, Mandy. Welcome, beautiful street angel. Oh, you muted. You muted, dear.
That better?
Yeah, there we go.
Hi, Scott. Hi, everybody. Thank you for, coming on to and having us, talk on a Sunday. This is great. And for the opportunity to get to hang out with you online is wonderful. And yeah, we met in Portland, Oregon at a conference, and we were immediately drawn to our, like, in the same tables and just talking and connecting. And then I ended up going to one of Scott's retreats in where, I don't know where that was, out in the boondocks of Oregon somewhere in the forest. Really cool. So it was like a 5-day.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So we just really became friends ever since and stayed in touch. And he also helped to coach me during some hard times as well. And I always appreciate that. So Scott's an excellent coach if you didn't know already.
Thank you. And Mandy, by the way, is coming to us from Texas, where she lives. So Mandy, first off, how'd you like the song that Omashar?
I loved it. I was like asking, is that a custom song that he created for this show, like for the Street Angel thing? I mean, that was really lovely. I loved it.
Yeah, I think you should talk to Omashar. Maybe that can be your new theme song. Mandy has her own online television show. She'd done a TV show in LA for a few years and then shifted to online. And so definitely we'll get the information today out to everybody about how they can watch your show. Let's start with the questions that I was asking everybody. How do you relate to being an earth angel? Which of those questions were kind of a yes for you, or what might they have invoked for you, Mandy?
Well, that first list that you put up absolutely resonated, all of it. As far as how we feel as an earth angel, you're very sensitive, empathetic, compassionate, so many feelings and emotions. Sometimes it's just too much. And, a huge connection to everything and people and animals, and, a very strong desire to serve others, to be of service is the top thing. And yes, I once I got my higher calling, which was in 2012, it was so powerful. It was just this divine download that I always describe it as being hit like a sledgehammer with this calling. And I acted on it, even though it was a terrifying concept to dress like an angel and go stand on a corner in Los Angeles. When I was brand new to the city, I didn't know anything about it. I had just broken up with my boyfriend. So I was alone, no job, no friends, no family, no connections, no nothing. All I had was this calling and this passion and this drive. And so I planned, I put the posters together. I ordered some angel wings online. And I just picked a corner one day and went out on the street corner in Los Angeles. And I was shaking like a leaf. It was terrifying. And I was questioning my sanity. Like, am I crazy for doing this? But it is City of Angels. I mean, there has to be something to it, right? So I just started doing it. And it was one thing led to another. It was kind of like following God's breadcrumbs. Like, I was standing out there and a guy comes along and hands me a business card, invites me to this meditation center. So I go there, and then I get another breadcrumb, go here, go to this event, go. And then the invitations just started flowing, and I was going everywhere, festivals and parades and just red carpet events. And just, it was so crazy how much it exploded, and then how I went from there. And yes, I did end up with a legit Hollywood talk show in a nice studio in Hollywood for 3 seasons. And I devoted that opportunity to helping others and raising enlightenment and awareness and consciousness and higher consciousness topics and guests and stuff like that. That was really cool.
It's beautiful. So what's an example of where your street angel energy maybe came into contact with somebody who was feeling lost, who's scared or angry, and how your energy and your sign or your wings, how that may have changed them, just as an example of the wonderful work you do?
Well, one of my favorite memories that pops up right when you ask me that was I was walking through Venice. I had just parked And I was walking to, it's kind of like a building that was an old church, but they'd renovated it into like a place called Source, which is just a higher consciousness, spiritual gathering of higher collective minds. And I was walking in my full white angel garb, my wings, my poster, walking to this event. And this guy on a bicycle happens to just be cruising by, and he screeches to a halt and he throws his bicycle down. He comes running over to me all happy. He's like, "Oh my God, this poster is exactly what I needed to see today." And he grabs his wallet and he pulled out $20 and he stuffs it in my hand. He's like, "Thank you." And I was like, kind of startled, and he's like, "I'm going through this big breakup and I'm losing my job, but your message is what I needed right now." And I was just like, "Well, thank you. I'm glad I could help." Like, you just never know, like, what people's reactions are. I'd probably get 99.9% positive reaction. And maybe the people who are judgmental and negative, like, they're, I guess, in the shadows gossiping about me, which sucks. You mentioned conflict. I feel like I've been pulled into way too much conflict that I, like, more than I know how to deal with sometimes, to where I had to go to therapy because I didn't know how to cope with all the conflict that people drag me into. And I'm like, I'm overwhelmed.
And that's really an important thing for everybody to, I just want to riff on this for a moment, because people are saying they want to be of service like you. They want to be, a street angel. So it's not that the fear goes away. It's not that the conflict goes away. It's not that you don't actually have to deal with more energy. There it goes. May your courage be greater than your fears. Be brave. That's a beautiful song. Hold that up for a little bit longer for a moment. And I want to put the full spotlight on you and take a picture of that. Because that is, hang on, I gotta remove my spotlight. And I want to, that's beautiful.
Camera sound.
Yeah, that was me taking a picture of it.
Yeah, it really is. I do still deal with fears, and everybody does. I feel like it's a part of life that you just have fear there. But you have to consciously make the decision that you're going to move beyond the fears and the threshold and the cage and the comfort zone, and you're going to move forward, or you're going to take that leap of faith, or you're going to take that first step in the staircase,
And so what are some of the things you do to overcome the fear? Like when you're wanting to go out to the stadium or go out there and, is there a moment where you're going, do I really want to do this? And the fear comes up. And if so, how do you manage that?
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes I still struggle with putting the wings on and going into an event. And it depends on the event. Some events I go to are pretty high level or pretty upscale people, or sometimes business suit people. And I'm going in there in angel wings and I feel a little insecure about that, and I'm like feeling very judged, and people give me looks like, WTF is this girl, but it's a lot of times I like to pray before I do that. I'll have a little moment with God, and I'll just fill up with some divine courage and bravery and divine love, because sometimes I can't give it to myself because I'm feeling insecure to do it, my mission in that moment. And being back here in Texas, to be honest with you, has been very hard because, I feel like I had a lot of support out in Los Angeles. I could go anywhere and people already knew who I was. I was very supported and embraced. And I come back home and I feel like everybody's been attacking me and criticizing me and shutting me down and criticizing my wings and telling me not to wear them. And it's been really difficult. And that's what part of the reason I had to go to therapy was, like, bullying that I've been dealing with here, like from people very close to me, has just almost pushed me over the edge where I don't even want to be here anymore. So it's been very hard.
So we're going to take a moment and give you some love and some empathy. Come back to California. Come back. We would love to have you here. Although I'm actually in Sedona, Arizona right now, which is kind of interesting because your friend Kate, the artist, is with us. And Kate's written some beautiful messages. She says, where are they? Kate, the artist, who's with us online. I'm looking at her right now as I speak. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put her on camera as I read some of what she wrote. Kate, you're on camera, just so you know, people can see you. And Kate writes, I had the pleasure of also meeting Mandy, the street angel, in a similar way at a conference in Sedona. And here I am in Sedona right now. And we realized we only lived a couple of hours apart in Texas. And Kate writes, what a great start to your new way of being. So much trust in the process of becoming the next highest version of yourself. So thank you, Kate, the hardest of Autopia. Thank you for being with us. And so just a reminder that you have some friends. In response to what you just said, Mandy, Julia writes, remember, Christ was not accepted where he was. It was just part of the assignment. Jeffrey writes, keep your energy focused on your Lovolution path. We need you, even in Texas. Terry says, you would be most welcome in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, where she is. So there you have it.
I just want to shout out to Kate. I love her quote about my angel wings are my business suit. I love that. It's true. Like, let me try to give a quick example of the way this activation and calling happened within me, and to where the wings have integrated into who I am as a being and my expression in this world. It would be similar to like a person who comes out of the closet is gay, and they want to be accepted and they want to be supported for their new expression in the world, and to be bullied by people close to them. And, oh, don't come to this event acting like yourself. There's high level people here. You can't wear your wings. You can't act gay. Like, that's kind of the closest kind of similar I could think of in my head as an example of how it feels for me for somebody to say, don't wear your wings. It's embarrassing, or it's humiliating to me. Like, it's embarrassing for an angel to promote kindness. What's wrong with you?
Right.
Issues. Like, I'm sorry, but it's such a benevolent cause that I've put myself into, and it is hard to do it in this world, sometimes. And I love it when I go to places where I feel accepted, seen, and supported, because then I'm like, oh, thank God I feel normal amongst like-minded people with higher consciousness vibes or rainbow vibes,
So I want to take what you just shared and give everybody an awareness that as a coach I've come to, because as you know, Mandy, I've coached about 1,000 couples, literally. And one of the tragic things I've seen, and I even saw it with you and the person you were dating, is that when one person in a relationship, and it can be a romantic relationship or even a family relationship, when one person is more available, more capable of giving and receiving love, sometimes the other person doesn't feel worthy. They don't feel that they deserve that love, that they're good enough to receive that love. Especially, honestly, generally speaking, women are more capable of accessing their angelic energy, accessing love, and men struggle more with receiving it or not being worthy. And sometimes when, let's just say it's the woman really available to love her man well, and the man can't really take it in and he can't give it back, sadly, sometimes the man's strategy will be then to find something wrong with the woman and to pick at it. And it's a strategy to deflect the love because he can't just drop in and receive it and return it. And I have seen that over and over and over, tragically, many times in my life. And that's why it is so important for us to learn to cultivate enough self-esteem that we can receive and give back when we are with somebody that's loving us. And so I'm curious how that relates to any of the people in our audience, anybody who might want to respond to that. And certainly, Mandy, How do you relate to that?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind when you state that tragedy is I believe people need to have an entire shift in how they raise little boys. I think that so many cultures and people shut men down in their emotional body, like they're not allowed to cry, or they're made fun of or shamed or guilted if they cry or if they express an emotion. And I feel like if they are ridiculed in any way for expressing their emotion and they're shut down, that causes energy blockages that could last a lifetime. And that could also affect their heart space and how they give and receive or show love. So I feel like it needs to be a higher consciousness spread of how little boys are raised and to make them feel safe in having their emotions and sharing and expressing their emotions. And it needs to be allowed throughout their life, and this is a very huge undertaking, a shift, you know what I mean? Because especially if boys are shut down and they don't have a lot of times it'll come out as anger because they're not safe in expressing sadness or crying, so it comes out as anger, or they have to drink alcohol to suppress those feelings of sadness because they're not allowed to cry. They have to be manly. So I feel like as far as your comment, about men having this issue, I think it's related to really their childhood and how they were raised. And it's a broad problem that's reflected in schools and classrooms and everywhere, because other boys might make fun of other boys if they have an emotional issue. So, I just feel like if anybody's hearing that, to have a shift in how little boys are allowed to express their emotions in a safe way.
Boy, thank you for that. That's absolutely true. And in a moment, I'm going to ask Omashar what his thoughts are about that, how he grew up. I know that for me, I can remember being on the playground and some boy would get hit by the ball and it hurt like hell. And he'd start to cry and all the other boys would like form a circle around him and call him terrible names, crybaby, faggot, and all these derogatory words that would take anything feminine and make it derogatory, right? And that was like common language among little boys to dehumanize the feminine softness, to dehumanize anything that was soft, gentle, kind. And you're right, it's absolutely tragic that is culturally how boys are raised. We can see on television Rambo killing 100 people, but we can't see a naked breast, right? We can't see, loving acts of love, but we can see all this murder and violence. And the other thing that Mandy said that's so true is how anger becomes the cover emotion. It's not okay to cry. It's not okay to be confused or sad or hurt, but it's okay to be angry. I'm going to bring our other ongoing male here, Omashar, on, because I'm curious. Omashar, what was it like for you when you grew up as a boy, you being so sensitive?
Well, I'm definitely an ongoing male, that's for sure. And however, I came into the world so well balanced. I was the most gentlest, softest person. I felt like I was the golden son. However, I was raised in England, and England has a very stiff upper lip kind of thing, and you can't feel or show your emotions. And slowly, as most of us, I'm sure it's the same story, my heart was shut down and I tried my best to keep it open. And I even went to a boys' school. I didn't even know what a girl was. Holy smoke. And can you imagine that, until I was 16? But what kept my heart open throughout all of this time was music. And I managed to, I actually left England when I was about 19, and I went and lived in New Zealand. And I know that Spirit was guiding me all the way through. Goddess was guiding me all the way through. And I love it what Mandy said about following God's breadcrumbs, because that's what I have done. All of my life is follow God's breadcrumbs, follow the breadcrumbs of divine source. And so when I went to New Zealand, I went into a country that was, it still had the quirks of the British Empire, but there was the Maori, the indigenous people there. They loved each other from cradle to grave. You get living in the same community, every age group, and I learned how to love again, because I can't say my heart was shut, but my heart was definitely not open. And so I spent my time just observing how the Maoris lived in New Zealand, and how amazingly they managed to deal with issues. And I mean, if you look at the All Blacks, the New Zealand rugby team, they are incredibly male. However, they have hearts of gold. I'm not saying they're all perfectionists in how they relate in their relationships, but it was phenomenal to watch. I used to be in pop rock bands in New Zealand, and I actually all we wrote about was love. And but I didn't realize that all of our audience was probably 80% young women, and I had no idea that they were there. I was so shut off in my heart that I just got up on stage and played, and then got off stage. And it wasn't until I decided that I'm not going to write another long love song of my life. I'm going to write divine songs. And I started following God's breadcrumbs again. And it's getting to a point that I started to be really heart focused, because I could not take anything from the outer world anymore, which goes back to what you were saying earlier, Scott. You were saying about how we need to recreate a new world now, and rather quickly, because the old world, we don't know, in my estimation, is already over. It's already finished. And people do not know yet. And so I think, for instance, Mandy being in Texas, holy smoke, Mandy, I can see, I mean, Texas, I don't want to say anything about it, but that is one of the toughest places, perhaps, for an angel to be. However, I think that just keep on being there if you need to be there, and keep on pulling yourself into your own heart, because soon, many of the Texans are Christians, and so they're all have some kind of heart-centered teachings. And I can't say I would do it myself, but you're there. And what do you do with it? All we can do is, on shows like this and with people that are of divine consciousness, we can keep on refeeding each other and re-getting the courage to go out and go back, and go out and go back, and go out and go back into the heart, into the center. And so what happens with me now is, I have a practice, because I get triggered daily. Holy smoke. I'm currently in my hometown of Stratford-upon-Avon in England. I'll be back in the States in a few days. And I see people on the streets just in such pain. And so I find, as I do my heart-centered practices, I can walk around now without judgment. And Scott.
Thank you. That was beautiful. That was really beautiful. I'm going to read some comments that we've had from the audience that are really lovely. Kate, the artist, writes, "Oh, Mashar, what a gorgeous journey to being true to self." Julia writes, "The world of duality is about seeing both sides, not about right and wrong. However, the elites did not like it that way, so they put other spins on the experiences. It suited their purpose. God has always been with each one of us, asking for us to choose him or her. We are asked to go where we may be, or judged to teach us how that feels. Then we can know how to transmute it." And absolutely, so much of the work of the Love Coach Academy is helping people to transcend out of the right, wrong, good, bad, punishment paradigm. And I was doing a coaching session just this morning before this show, and that's what we were working on. I'm going to read a few more comments. I love the comments from people. Kate writes, "Texas also creates wide open spaces to create a very strong sense of self and sovereignty. So many full of love here." I've always noticed when I'm in Texas, I've never seen so many churches, and I've never seen so many strip clubs and bars. It's like, in California, we have like 7-Eleven everywhere. In Texas, it's all churches and bars. It's a kind of an interesting contrast there. I'm just going to read a couple more comments. Ayada writes, "I so remember those childhood scenes of shaming boys. My heart ached every time I saw it. That was why I chose to raise my boys to feel safe with all of their emotions. Thank you, Ayada. They've grown into wonderful, emotionally healthy, compassionate men. Good job, Ayada. Thank you. Jeffrey writes, as is of the universe, Levolution itself, we are light. Just as the sun shines on everyone, our presence can shine with welcoming smile and compassionate actions, all springing from the love that is part of our divine identity. Levolution is the solution. Thank you very, very much. And Karen writes, appreciation. Thank you very much for Omashar and I sharing insights about being true to ourselves as men. And yeah, it was a process. Scotty Satari is with us. And he writes, when I was in Heber Springs, Arkansas, they were so against this. We turned the town upside down through music at a popular coffee shop. Then artist galleries started opening, poetry nights. The name of our band was Divine Decree. And I'll put Scotty on. There's Scotty coming to us from Maui right now. So thank you, Scotty, for doing your missionary work in Arkansas, just as Mandy is doing her missionary work in Texas right now. Just look at it as angelic missionary work, helping people to open their hearts and remember kindness. So thank you, Scotty. Mandy, what are some of your thoughts to these comments and kind of where we're going in our direction today?
I think however people want to be their own version of a street angel, just, however, whatever talents God gave you or hobbies that you're interested in, how you can be of service to humanity, just tap into that or keep doing what you're doing. And, whatever's making you happy, because God wants us to be happy too. And, sometimes it's work you have to keep in a mindset of things to be grateful for. And that's what I do between prayer, and I keep positive quotes taped up all over my kitchen and bathroom and stuff like that to have it in my face, just to help me with day-to-day living, because it can be tough, especially if you're in a denser area, and meaning like people who aren't as woke, people who aren't exposed to stuff like Sedona, where there's healing shops on every corner, and people are exposed to all the options for healing and sound baths and meditation, and there's areas that don't have that at all, so the people are just not that way, or not exposed. So I would love if people joined my mission. If anyone wants to just buy wings, that's all you got to do, and just get some posters and do it, So I've tried to get people to join me, or people have offered, and then they never follow through, even if I ask them or follow up with them, and they blow me off. So it's like, it's just been me, and I just keep doing it. Maybe that's just my mission. I don't know, but it's not like I haven't tried or asked people or they haven't followed through,
Do you think that it's because people are just afraid? Do you think it's the fear that comes up?
Who knows what it is? Fear, ego. Everybody's an individual, so whatever their reasons end up being, I don't know.
Yeah. Terry Russo writes, talking about how hard things were. That's how things used to be back then. I remember growing up in the New York City area. We had to be tough or we'd get beat up, even as girls. And Jeffrey writes, Levolution is following our breadcrumbs. I loved what you said, Omashar, about following the breadcrumbs. That was beautiful. I'll bring Omashar back on.
Yeah, that was actually Mandy's quote about following God's breadcrumbs. And I realized, my gosh, that's what I've been doing my whole life. And yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Sage writes, many people are angels in disguise. Absolutely. Julia writes, the planets are aligning. Don't give up. And Nancy is suggesting that you wear a sad devil rainbow outfit.
Wouldn't work for me. Something that's funny I've thought about my entire life, even before the whole angel awakening calling thing, I would never be caught dead in anything dark or spooky or creepy or witchy, or I just, it's not me. It's never aligned with who I am or my energy. Like, I just don't, so.
And so what I hear in that's beautiful is your commitment to really being true to yourself. So Nancy, maybe that's what you want to do, is wear a sad devil rainbow outfit and go out and connect with the world that way. And really, we each have to tune into who we are and what our truth is. And really, so much of life is learning to discern between who am I and what is my truth versus what should I do? What am I being pressured to do? What is society telling me I'm supposed to do? And that's courage.
Be yourself. We are all unique beings in this universe. Every single one of us is a unique speckle of just creativity. We all have our own, perceived flaws by others, but that's just how God made us, But it's like, just be yourself. And yeah, sometimes you do need to just tune into your inner voice and your heart. And what do you want to do? How do you want to express yourself? Wear what you want to wear, unless you have a job that's strict and says you have to wear all black, well, that's your job. But outside of that, maybe you can wear colorful accessories or something like that. When I went to cosmetology school and they made us wear all black, and I hated it because I felt like there's no room for expression except, you could try to wear colorful hair flowers or earrings like that, or eyeshadow, like colorful eyeshadow. So it's like you have to be creative to get around the rules.
Life is like that. A few more comments, and then maybe, Mashar, I think another song would be good if you're up for that. Karen writes, Mandolin, thank you so much for being a beautiful angelic light to our world. When I worked in the San Francisco financial district, yes, they were all black. And I want to we have Candace watching on Facebook. And Candace, you're welcome to come on into our Zoom room. Candace writes, I am loving this show. Love, love, love. I love you from one earth angel to another. I couldn't navigate the Zoom room with my, because she's blind. And so she's using the chat to come over to interact with us. And she continues to write, yes to the humanity. Thank you for all the beautiful reminders of giving ourselves full permission as we can hold both courage, fear, and insecurity, and confidence all at the same times, all these different elements. And that's really true. We are all these things, and all these emotions and experiences flow through us, and it can be pretty confusing. Terry Russo writes, well, we used to wear all white as nurses, but now multicolored scrubs are okay. Well, that's good. That's an evolution. Mannion writes, our friends are earth angels in our network. Yes. And I guess Nancy's shifting now to a unicorn rainbow outfit. See, we can change our outfits. Mashar, I'm putting the spotlight on you.
Well, this is my unicorn rainbow song. How did you know, Nancy? And let's just take a few deep breaths and come into our heart center even more. What I've found is, if I walk down the street and I see something unusual, like somebody, for instance, with angel wings, or somebody wearing really outrageous clothes, if my heart is open, I just go, yes, awesome. But if my heart is not so open, I have a judgment. And so that is okay, if you have a judgment, go and sit down and talk yourself back into your heart. Anyway, that's my snippet of unsolicited wisdom in this moment. Okay. Just when you thought that all is lost, and the curtain looks to fall. Perhaps it's just the song of home that calls, and your trust in life exposed. No need to sit around and mope. Where there is love, there's always hope. Trust in your life and you will see that you reflect as me. Another day is here for you to live, and I'll walk it through with you. There is no doubt your heart is pure and true. So I came to remind you, no need to sit around and mope. Where there is love, there's always hope. Trust in your life and you will see that you reflect as me. I am in all that you will see. Have trust in your life and trust in me. Dust yourself down and I'll lift you up. I will fill your loving cup. Just when you thought that all was lost, I came to remind you. No need to sit around and mope. Where there is love, there's always hope. Trust in your life and you will see that you reflect as me. La-da-da-da-da-dum-bum.
Beautiful. Another beautiful song, Omashar. Thank you so much. I see Mannion is twinkling you. You're getting good twinkling from Mannion there.
Oh, thanks for the twinkly, Mannion.
I'm going to read a couple more comments, and then we're going to wrap up a little bit earlier than usual today. Terry writes, I love that Omashar, both the words and the music. Jeffrey wrote, wow, just feeling those words lifts me up. Peter wrote, I went to school at North Lake Tahoe with a lot of second-generation Europeans. Our grade school class was very tight, and a third of the boys were gay and never realized one of us was black. We were just kids. But at our motel, I had to direct any black people to a motel in Kings Beach, which was a hippie band stop from Virginia City, and got tagged as Kinky Beach. So the point being that in some places we just are all, it's safe. And then you go to another place and there's all that judgment and racism. And yeah, I mean, I think we all probably have experienced that there's just, and when we're lucky, we get to live in a community that is loving and is kind and is gentle. And when we're going through a hard time is when we're living in a place where we're surrounded by judgment. Going to bring Mandy back on. Mandy, any thoughts that come to mind after these comments or what, or Omashar's song?
It felt just very beautiful and uplifting, just like Suzanne was saying in the comments. It just really resonates and it just feels so nice. It's a good energy, you know. I love the words. I love the lyrics. A great job. I really appreciate your gift of music that you've brought to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel also in relation to the comment earlier that it's almost time for us to try and find little pods of each other to live with each other, because it is hard-ish. Hard. I'm trying not to affirm the word hard, but it is hard when you're in a dense world, because the lighter you come, the lighter one becomes, the more the pressure comes in. But if you're in little pods of at least 3, you have this kind of triangular energetic. So if there are 3 angels out in Texas or wherever, you may still get the people not liking it, but you have this, you're unbreakable. And so it's just time, I think, for us to gather where we feel called to in the world, with like-minded souls as much as we can.
Robin Mariani, who is in watching on Facebook, writes, amazing music. I detected a bit of an Elton influence, which is kind of interesting. I'm actually listening I've been driving because I drove all the way from San Diego to Sedona, and I've been listening to Elton John's audio, and his upbringing was really fascinating. Similar to what we're talking about, his father was in the military. His father was in the RAF during World War II and then stayed in the military, and was constantly correcting Elton on everything. He literally would hit Elton at the dinner table because Elton wasn't chewing his celery properly, right? I mean, just this incredible, rigid, right, wrong, good, bad. And Elton has a great sense of humor. So in his book, he has kind of this humor, like, about how ridiculous it was to be constantly punished for not doing things right when it was like ridiculous, right? So interesting that then he turned out so flamboyant and so just like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and that's what happens. We swing in the opposite direction very often. But definitely, Omashar, you do have an Elton-esque quality, your love, your heart, your playfulness, your joyfulness, and coming out of that British thing. That was that British thing. All right, a few more comments. Julia, the pressure has a purpose. It's turning our firm carbon base to a crystal basis, just like coal becomes a diamond. Beautiful. Peter is thanking you, Omashar. Kate writes, I also really appreciate the music and the frequency Omashar brings to this co-creative experience. Absolutely. And Jeffrey writes, I got to be so lucky to get to live on the farm community. It set an example for all of us to learn from. Yes, growing up on a farm with animals, much more connection to nature, much less social pressure to be a certain way, much more just collaborative. Ayada writes, I can imagine Texas being a challenging place for heart-opening interactions. But Texas blew my mind in 1998. I was driving back to Vancouver Island from the Yucatan. Wow, that's a long drive. With 2 of my kids when my car broke down in Texas, shortly after crossing the border from Mexico. I managed to find a mechanic shop, but the diagnosis was a shock. I needed a lot of work. So it's a long story, but basically it's an act of kindness, an incredible act of kindness when her car broke down, and the people in Texas took such good care of her. So straightforward Texas folk taking good care of her. Peter writes, I got belt whipped for not eating broccoli and sticking my tongue out at Dad. Wow. And when I sat down, I did it again. It's my brother's favorite story. And Dorina brings out a really good site, an article about the 8 types of earth angels. So that's in the chat, in the Zoom box. Thank you, Kate. I appreciate your appreciation. All right, we're gonna wrap up a little early today because I'm visiting friends in Sedona and they are making brunch for me. But I want to give Mandy a chance to offer any final thoughts, and also, how do we find your podcast and how do we get more connected to you, Mandy?
You can check out my website, thestreetangel.com. That's also my Instagram handle, all one word. Facebook, just put in Mandolin Reese. You can find me. I have 2 YouTube channels. I stream my show to. You can find my talk show streams to my Facebook page, my Facebook profile, my 2 YouTube channels. And I also try to get my guests, whoever they are, to connect their stream to their social media. So but the replays are also available on all those places, as well as my website. I stick a copy of the show. You just go to my tab, my talk show on my website, and it has all my past talk shows for 6 seasons.
Wow. So there it is. It's thestreetangel.com. That's easy to remember. Thestreetangel.com. And there she is. And then there are all the videos. So you can watch all of her amazing videos. And I love your purpose. It is so beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So let's all support the Street Angel. Watch the episodes online and go to her social media links. There they all are. So that's how you can connect her on Twitter or Facebook, YouTube. Mandy, you know how much I love you, how much I respect you. Thank you so much.
Likewise, Scott. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the show.
Yes.
Spread kindness.
Spread kind. So do me a favor, hold it up again. And this time I want to really get a good picture of it. So hold on a second. And there you go. Beautiful. I'll send that to you as well. And a reminder, everybody, that we will send out the replays for this show and all of our shows every Monday for those of you that are registered. Omashar, do you want to play one more song for us?
We can just have a little closing song, a namaste song, if you like.
That would be awesome.
I want to come and have brunch, dude. So, but actually, it's going to be dinner for me. It's what is it? It's 7:10 in the evening here, and
Okay.
I'm going to go have dinner with Shakespeare. So,
Okay.
So I'm going to just do this little song that we can sing together.
And so everybody turn on your cameras and move to the music, because I'd love to add those of you who have your cameras on and are listening to the song, singing to the song. Keep yourselves muted, but let's, it's always a nice way to close out our show.
Namaste, namaste, my heart singing, namaste. The love in me beholds the love in you, namaste, 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 my heart singing, namaste. Love in me beholds the love in you. Namaste, namaste. It's a piano version. Namaste, namaste. My heart singing. Namaste. Love in me beholds the love in you. Namaste. Namaste. Last time. Okay, see if I can get this high. Namaste. No, I can't. Namaste. My heart singing. Namaste. Love in me beholds a love in you. Namaste. Namaste. Namaste.
Beautiful. So good to see all of you. Let's twinkle Omashar and twinkling each other, twinkling our beautiful street angel. And I look at you and all I see are earth angels. You are all so beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. And I look forward to seeing you next weekend. 3 original shows, great guests. So see you next weekend. Have a beautiful, beautiful